Hey everybody, welcome back. Northernlion Afterbirth Plus, slowly but surely, maybe, filling in this post-it note. That's the dream anyway. Eden is the last of the characters we have unlocked at the present moment that we need to get something done with. And oh my god, we started... Some things never change. YZAW VAC. It's almost like VAC, but not quite. We're starting with Brimstone. Nothing else really stands out to me, but nothing else has to stand out. Well, you know what? Actually, that's not fair. It's actually Brimstone with a pretty good rate of fire as well. Like, it's taking half a second or so to charge up our Brimstone shot to maximum, so it's actually probably well above average. We had the longest Larry Jr. on the last run, now we got the shortest Larry Jr. All we need is a Larry Jr. that always lies and a Larry Jr. that always tells the truth. Obviously, I'm about 0% excited to have Breath of Life, but we'll find a way perhaps to get rid of that at some point in the future, and at least, you know, we have gotten Breath of Life. I'm not going to say that there's a good chance that this is going to be the last item we would ever be able to pick up in the game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's a good chance that this would be the one that would give us real Platinum God or 1,000,001% or whatever. But now we don't even have to worry about it. It's an item that could conceivably have that fate attached to it because I would almost never willfully pick it up and keep it at least. But 2 of clubs. Yeah, I'll go up to 14 bombs. I think 14 bombs early is very, very nice. You know, you can always save the 2 of clubs and maybe get more value later, but I don't think it's necessarily super prudent to our existing situation. And finally, our pill is one makes you larger, which, I mean, wait, our hairstyle flipped there. Did you see that? We had like tornado hair. What's the guy from the, oh, Blondie, right? Dagwood, that's it. I got confused because the star of the Blondie comics is Blondie, but actually it's Dagwood, you know? He's the one making the big sandwiches that are, you know, not even plausible to eat. Blondie's just sort of there. That sounds like... It's been a long time since I read Blondie, okay? I'm not trying to accidentally be misogynist here. My impression of the Blondie comic strip, from all the rich lore that I was able to glean from it as a child, was that Dagwood, he always wants to relax. He's always like, oh, I just got a hard day at the insurance factory. So he makes like a big sandwich, and then when he goes down to eat, like sits down to eat, Marmaduke just eats his whole sandwich. Are Marmaduke and Blondie the same comic? Blondie. It's a American comic strip. It ran, oh my god, it started in 1930. That's absurd. That explains his haircut. Is there really no Marmaduke in Blondie? Those are 2 different things. Running gags. Give me a sandwich. Dagwood sandwich. I said, do you speak my language? He just gave me a Dagwood sandwich. Anyway. Was there not a dog? Cookie Bumstead? What the heck is going on here? Alright. Dude, I haven't read a newspaper comic page in probably like 20 years. That's absurd. I really, in a way, I admire newspaper comics because it's the most constricting form of comedy media I could possibly imagine. You have 4 frames to set up a punchline, get people to, or like set up a joke, get people to believe in your world, and then also deliver on the punchline. Like, no word in those 4 panels can be wasted. And yet, you know, so many of them turn out to be kind of garbage, right? I'm not trying to be rude. There's some classics, you know. I grew up reading Peanuts. Trying to think of what else. Family Circus is just, oh, dude. I fell on my bum. Family Circus number 1199. And I don't begrudge them, because to some extent, it's a self-caricature. There have been Isaac episodes that have just been like, you know, caricatures of myself almost. I try to bring my A game, but you know, sometimes you just have, you finish an Isaac episode and you go, I didn't talk about anything in that. I hope that it was entertaining on some level, but I didn't talk about freaking anything. We saved 9 lives, by the way, because we might as well take it last, just in case we had a huge deal there, or something like Abaddon, for example. But anyway, I digress. What item is back here that I did not take? That's not... That's just the look of the item. What item is here that I didn't take? 9 lives, that's right. Okay, now we can go in here and crack these open. NL, are you feeling okay? There was actually the worst television program I have ever seen was the family... Well, I don't know. There was one show that I saw on MTV a long time ago called Yo Mama, where it was really just a staged insult battle between 2 made-up posses. 2004 was like a weird time, dude. You Got Served was popular, so everybody was like, well, kung fu fighting, obviously, but like insult rap battles and dance battles were like, I'm not gonna say that they were a thing, but they were part of the public consciousness briefly. It was very strange to be growing up in that time period. But anyway, what was I saying? I digress regardless. There was a cartoon version of Family Circus that aired on TV, and it was always on before My So-Called Life. My So-Called Life was like 11:55 to 12:25. Family Circus was like 11:40 to 11:55. And accidentally tuning in to Family Circus for like even 10 seconds was the low light of my week. I didn't watch My So-Called Life when it aired. It aired in like 1995 or something, but I watched it, during its rerun. Just before, I think, it started hitting that level of like, everybody should watch this. Jordan Catalano. Of course I was rooting for Brian Krakow. How could I not? He had the white 15-year-old afro that everybody's best friend had. My, well, maybe not my best friend, but definitely one of my friends had a curly sort of pseudo-afro thing going on. Like, what was the guy's name from High School Musical? He had that, but with, like, brown to blondish hair. It was, again, blunder years. Not that I was killing it to a larger degree. Like, hey, I like to always turn the gaze of criticism inwards, so you know that I'm not just laughing at other people, I can laugh at myself. In 9th grade, I have not been bald forever, that should be clear. Close to forever. I noticed I was balding for the first time when I was like 17. Which is why when sometimes I see posts on the internet where they're like, oh my god, I'm 24 and I noticed a little hair loss in the shower. What do I do? And I'm like, I have sympathy for you because I've been through it. But I also went through it like, my senior year of high school. So you'll figure it out. I have confidence in you. You're dealing it with the tools of an adult. You'll solve the problem. I have the utmost faith. Anyway, but anyway, in 9th grade, full head of hair, relatively. Probably not, but like pretty full, at least. Unnoticeably thinning, perhaps. This is irrelevant to the situation, but I bought hair gel that was also like paint, sort of. So it was like colored hair gel, basically. And I used it to put 2 white lines at my temples as if I was like, a man in his late 30s just starting to go gray. It's one of those things where like you think it's gonna be cool. I mean, I was also like 13, so I do give myself a little bit of slack in this department because it's obviously in hindsight not at all cool. But at the time I was like, this is gonna be cool. What a bold fashion statement. And then I went to school and like as soon as I got on the bus, why not take it here? As soon as I got on the bus, somebody was like, what the heck's wrong with your hair? And I was like, oh, this is gonna be a long day. And it was a long day. So once I got home, I showered and then I never did that again because that was stupid. But see, like we all make decisions like that many of us at least make decisions like that in our youth. Well, even like middle school, you know what the most popular piece of clothing was for like the girls in our class? It was a shirt that had the Spice Girls, but they were mice, and it said, you guessed it, Mice Girls. I don't think we want anything there. We should have bombed our way into the shop and then probably gotten the key and gone to the item room. That's bad form on my part there, but that's okay. I mean, when you're like, you know, 11 or 12, it's not that big of a deal. But I think you'll look back at that and go, mice girls? Really? As late as like 11th grade, I would sometimes wear a long sleeve shirt and then a t-shirt on top of it instead of the other way around. And I have to say, in hindsight, not cool. At the time, a little cool that people were doing that. You know, so you'd have like a t-shirt and then your sleeves would be a different color. You don't understand because you're looking back on it with eyes from the future, you know? You're going, that's stupid, and I agree with you. But at the time, I'm not saying it was a good look, but it wasn't a horrible look. And I'll stand by that. The hair gel that also made me look like I was 30 years older than I actually was, not a smart idea. I'll level with you on that one. We should donate and also buy a key. So save 5 cents. As far as I'm concerned, if you don't have a story like that, you haven't really lived, you know? I'm trying to think of some other examples. I had a friend, and I don't know, this might still be something that's done, but I had a friend who had, you know, these sweaters or sweatshirts that were like longer than his arms, and he would cut holes where the thumbs were so he could put his thumbs through the hole and wear it like a shirt glove. I don't even know how to describe it really. And you're gonna say like, wow, NL, you really hung out with like some losers, right? Well, I mean, this guy was actually like pretty normal. Like, I'm not gonna say popular necessarily. Our school was surprisingly not that cliquey, to be honest with you. Like, everybody was relatively accepted, but like, he had friends and a girlfriend. It was a pretty normal situation, all things considered. No deal? That hurts me deep in my soul. And everybody used to do the hair flip, the boy band hair flip. It's true. And at the time, we were laughing at pictures of our parents from like the 1980s. Who uses hairspray? All you need to know about my generation is that we made Carmen Electra famous for workout videos where she teaches you how to strip. That was our generation, the Paris Hilton generation. The sex tape generation. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and we're working it out, you know? We're growing up. Figuring out life in the world now without colored hair gel and Paris Hilton to guide us into how to be a talentless garbage fire. Look, no disrespect meant to Paris. The Stars Are Blind is, you know, a 3 out of 10 song. I didn't say 1 out of 10. It has some merit. Some talent was involved in the production of that. Somewhere along the line. I don't know. Maybe the CD was just manufactured well, but it's a start. And I always bring this up because I want you to, if you're younger, if you're on the younger generation side of things, I don't want you to be bossed around by our generation because it'll happen eventually. You know, first, I was raised by the post-baby boomers, you know, the Echo generation. They were the people printing out the participation trophies for us at every sporting event. You'd be like, oh, we came 5th place in the baseball tournament. Oh, no. You weren't 5th place. You were C champions. This is the truth. In the baseball league that I was in growing up, there were 6 teams. You could be first place was A champs, second place was A runners up, third place B champs. You won the B championship. I mean, it's like, it's a very weird way to set things up. I don't know why they did it like that, except that, you know, you got a trophy at the end. I feel a little bit betrayed. My parents' generation was the one paying for the trophies, printing them out and making sure that everybody got a trophy. And then now they're like, you know, all these millennials, oh, do you want a participation trophy with that? I didn't choose. I just wanted to play baseball. Get outside. I didn't care if we got a trophy. Got all these weird little crappy baseball bats with like a small plaque on them that says like, you know, C runners up. It's a grave memory of the time when I came 6th place in our baseball tournament that had 6 teams in the league. Gotta make sure we commemorate it. That's what, you know, it's like we're getting stabbed in the back. Eventually, I'm gonna turn. I'm gonna have my Hail Hydra moment where I'm gonna be like, oh, kids these days always sending each other, you know, nude photos. Okay, that's maybe not the best example for a nuanced conversation, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah, this is way better. Shouldn't have even had to think about it. There will be a moment where I will, and I actively, at least at my age, which is still relatively young, I fight back against being out of touch, except for comedic effect in these videos and on the show. I try to, you know, stay relatively current. I'll be honest with you, I don't understand Instagram. I've talked about this a few times, but I don't really get it. I don't want to look at photos that much. I want to read words. But if you like Instagram, I keep myself, I at least know what it's called. I don't go, you know, oh, Insta app or whatever, you know. But one day I'll be like, oh yeah, you know, these young millennials. Here's my impression of a young millennial. Oh, I can't do anything without my cell phone. And then, you know, as soon as I do that, you've got to remind me of all the stupid stuff my generation did. We invented Heelys. Heelys are not cool. I see people on the internet saying Heelys are cool. Don't buy Heelys. I'm looking out for your future, you know, chances of having intercourse. Don't buy Heelys. Unless you're shooting like a viral video, you don't need shoes that turn into roller skates. That's an idea invented by either an 8-year-old or Rob. And as much as I love him, I would never give him financing out of my pocket for a business idea that he comes up with like that. It's economic suicide. Salvo radio sue is, of course, what I meant to say there. Okay, good pickups there. I think we're just gonna bounce so we can still have a good chance to make boss rushes. It is our 6th floor. We're actually cruising here. I don't know, maybe Heelys are cool. Maybe you shouldn't be taking advice on what's cool from the guy who gave himself Reed Richards hair, you know, a month into 9th grade. I also remember, I got a lot of cringeworthy memories from my early high school years. Just trying too hard. I remember in my computer technology class in 9th grade, which basically boiled down to play Flash games, and, you know, occasionally a teacher would be like, here's how you do a Google image search. Again, weird era. Google was like 5 years old at this time. Anyway, we had to do this survey for our teacher. Our teacher was like, hey, I want to know more about you guys, because, you know, you're just coming into high school for the first time, so why don't you do this survey and tell me a little bit about yourself? And I remember vividly that one of the questions was, I like to read about blank. Really just a nice way of asking a question about, like, what you're interested in. And I wrote, and it pains me to even bring this up. It's still raw, you know, 15 years later. I wrote, I like reading about the human condition. Who doesn't? What a just terrible answer to that question. First off, I had no idea what reading about the human condition meant. I clearly had just heard someone else say it and was like, that person sounds smart. I want to be like them. I want to impress my teacher, who ended up being kind of a, you know, not my favorite person on the planet Earth anyway, but I digress. Just a smarmy, crappy answer to put there, but I'll own up to it, you know? We can all laugh about this stuff. I grew out of that phase, thankfully. Not everybody has. You see it on, you know, I am very smart. r/I am very smart, you know? The wrong generation, etc., etc. We've had that chest before, but I don't remember what it is. But with 10 cents, we're going to try to hit 150 here. Must be closing in on another shop upgrade, maybe? Black candles appeared in the basement. That's a good item. We got so much time here. If we want to live through boss rush, though, we got to pick up some HP in the process here. And I'm still holding out hope this is our 10th run to kill Mom's heart on as well and unlock more progress. Ooh, I mean, oh, why'd you pick it up? There's just no reason to pick it up, is the thing. What there is a reason to do is get one of them, blow yourself up, respawn in the devil room, grab this one. Yeah, see, that's like, we redeemed ourselves slightly, but we did lose a black card we had no reason to lose. That's the last really embarrassing high school story that I can think of. They were all like 9th grade, which I think is acceptable. You know, you're young. It's a big leap from going to middle school to high school. Especially because, you know, my school was so small. My elementary school was so small. I went from kindergarten to 8th grade. So you spend 10 years in this school, and you graduate as top dog, and then you go to a school where, you know, you're a little puny, you know, nothing again. If you're watching this and you're in 8th grade, first off, it's very precocious of you. Don't make the same mistakes I made. Don't say, I love reading about the human condition. Who doesn't? It makes you look like an idiot. Come on. I know you got something for me here. We shouldn't have done this. But let's go. It's not that good. You're gonna be fine. Everybody's gone through. You're gonna make it out okay. Don't sweat it. The fool. I'm very lucky. I think I'm the only person out of the roundtable crew who had like a good high school experience. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying like my high school experience was pretty okay. I studied decently hard. I had an okay social life, and things were not altogether that bad. Are you restricted? Yeah, you don't have a whole lot of freedom compared to where you were at as an adult, but in its own way, that's kind of nice sometimes. Anyway, we gotta focus here. Please stomp this. Anyway, not everybody has that same experience, but if you're same for college. If you're getting ready to go in that department right now, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna figure it out, or you're not, and then you're still gonna be fine in the end, or you're gonna convince yourself that you're fine. Either way, it's gonna work out for you most of the time, except for the people that it doesn't. See, I'm not really good at the whole comforting thing. People learn pretty quickly to stop coming to me in their time of need. I feel bad, because it might surprise you, but, oh, this is pretty good. I genuinely have sympathy for people. I'm not going to say on, like, a deep level. Like, when I see, like, a person that's like, hey, can I have the ham sandwich? And then the deli's like, we're out of ham sandwiches. I don't, like, start to cry, but, you know, I feel empathy, I guess, is the word. But then when people, like, feel bad and have talked to me in the past, I'm just no good at giving comfort. I'm a robot, basically, is what it comes down to some degree. I'm hyper-literal, and I'm solutions-oriented. Ooh, talk dirty more to me, baby, please. But it's at least sincere. Like, in my head, I'm like, someone feels bad, find the way to make them feel good. You know, maybe you should, you know, just relax. That's not gonna help. Okay, well, I'm out of ideas then. Maybe I'm good at distracting people from their problems. See, that's kind of like I'm a professional at that in my YouTube and Twitch life. Maybe that's where I belong here. By the way, we're gonna do boss rush and we're probably gonna live, but the run has become kind of a garbage fire. I didn't peep the stat change due to experimental treatment, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and suggest that it was kind of horrible. I'm always envious of people that can comfort other people, because I think it's a good skill. To be able to, you know, act as a solve emotionally to other people is something I'm a little envious of. I never found that skill myself personally, at least not on an intentional level. But if you're watching this for any kind of therapeutic level, then I'm very appreciative of that, honestly. Because I don't possess that skill on a one-to-one level. Because I always feel like I would be lying to people. You know, if you're like, oh, I think I'm gonna fail chemistry. My first inclination is like, that sucks. Are you okay? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, you could always take it again and just study harder. Like, that's not what anybody wants to hear in the moment. That's like a very, I know I could oh, wow, what an incredible, I got too much Larry David in me, I think, you know? If you didn't want to fail, you should have studied more. It's not really helpful in the moment. I think it's an only child thing. I grew up, my parents were stable. I didn't have any brothers or sisters going through crises, so I never developed, like, that skill that was necessary. The only person having crises in my house growing up was me. Not to a large extent, but anyway, it's getting too personal. But who doesn't love to listen to the human condition, am I right? That was a bad one. Those incidents, that and the hair gel incident, probably happened within like a month of each other. It's the most embarrassing 1 month of my existence on planet Earth. And I think it's around the right age. If you have your most embarrassing month of existence when you're like, 28, you either messed up bad, or you're me playing Kerbal Space Program. Anyway, no, the hair gel thing, well, there was actually one time when I worked in South Korea. I came to school, and I was, again, I want to point out, I was barely an adult. I can't believe they contracted me to work in a foreign country at the age of 20. This is like absurd. But anyway, I guess I was 21, but like barely 21. I came to school, I was in the office, and I was like, what smells bad? Everyone in the office was speaking Korean. They're like, oh, what smells bad? And then eventually, I realized my pants smelled like terrible. Like a smell, not like fecal matter, just a horrible odor, like tree resin, and so I don't even know what it was to this day. But I had to like, I nipped it in the butt. I stood up and I was like, sorry, my pants smell really bad, but I don't have time to go back and get like new pants, and I just noticed it right now. That was a sobering moment for me in my life. Quite embarrassing, especially because after that point I had to teach like 7 1-hour classes full of kids, and the kids were like, what's that smell? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You guys must be crazy. But the smell was me. It was my pants. And to this day, I still don't know what it was, but it was foul. It was the only item of clothing that I had that smell. It was not vomit. It was not poop. On de fouet has appeared in the basement. I'm not saying that just to make myself look like more innocent than I actually am. Like, I should have noticed that the pants smelled bad, but I was in a rush. And I still, to this day, it's a mysterious aroma that it's like my pants got hit by some kind of smell ghost that I don't understand. So that's a more recent embarrassing memory. Not a great one, but since then, it's largely been pretty okay. If you can have fewer and fewer embarrassing moments the older you get, I think that's trending upwards. Until you reach like a certain age, and then everything you do is very embarrassing. I think that's the way it goes, is like, when you're a kid, you embarrass your parents. When you're a teenager, you embarrass yourself. And a young adult, I guess, you embarrass yourself. When you're a middle-aged adult, you embarrass your kids. And then, yeah, why not? When you're a senior citizen, you just embarrass society. That's not where I meant that punchline to go. I have nothing but love for the nation's elderly out there. I worked in a, not in a forward-facing role, but I worked in a senior center at one point in my life. You'd think that I have some stories. I have no stories. It was just a nice place. People would show up, they'd meet their friends there, they'd read some books, they'd take classes on how to use Microsoft Word. I mean, look, at least they're learning, right? They're trying to stay contemporary. You gotta keep yourself busy. I'll take an Instagram class when I'm 70. I got nothing better to do, and it helps me converse with the younger generation. Why not? Start an Instagram account for grandmas with big bottoms or something like that. That's what's hip on the Instagram, right? Ooh, we need that. Every Friday was Fish and Chips Day. You didn't get a free meal for working there, though, which I kind of took that as a slight, to be honest with you, but that's okay. I'm not going to take Dark Judas, because, again, we don't want to respawn as Dark Judas, at least not yet. Rotten Baby's a great get, but Dark Judas, not yet. Once we get every posted note thing unlocked, we can go for it. The worst place I ever worked was definitely Goodwill. Working in Goodwill, if anybody out there works in Goodwill or Value Village right now, speaking of which, I worked at Goodwill for like 6 weeks, not a long time. I applied at Value Village, which is just slightly upscale Goodwill, and they turned me down. Who's laughing now, Value Village? Who's laughing now? Anyway, take this. But that was a great blow to my ego. When I was like the most perfect candidate to apply for a job at like a donation fulfillment center, and then they turned me down. I was like, this is darn recession, am I right? But anyway, if you work at Goodwill or anything like Goodwill right now, you have not only my deepest sympathy, but can I offer you like some of my limited amounts of inner strength? Because that is a hard job. You know, long hours, physical labor, and every once in a while, it's like the worst version of Christmas. It's like a hell's Christmas. Because people show up and they drop off like garbage bags. So it's not the best wrapping paper, for one. This is step one of Christmas. Maybe we should have just gone for it. Oh no, we still have a 100% deal with the devil. We're fine. And sometimes you open it up and you're like, hey, there's an okay shirt in here. We could probably sell this for like $5 or $6. And sometimes you open it up and you go, oh, this one's just trash. That's the word. People are awful sometimes. I still, to this day, I don't fully understand it. But every day at Goodwill, people overnight when the Goodwill is closed, for anybody not aware of the facility, by the way, Goodwill takes in donations primarily of clothing and household goods, sells them, and then donates the money to charity. It takes as much money as it needs to fund its own operation, and it gives the rest of the money to charity. I think it's the March of Dimes, but I can't remember. Was it, literally the job interview was like, can you lift 30 pounds above your head? And I said yes, and they were like, you're hired. Anyway, you unlocked Glitch Baby. Every night when the Goodwill closed, I guess overnight, people would leave their stuff in garbage bags in front of the Goodwill. Because they're like, I gotta donate the stuff, but the Goodwill's closed. I don't blame them. You know, we didn't have like a drop-off box there that you could just put it in. I understand you want to get these garbage bags out of your truck. The problem is sometimes it like rained. They didn't create the rain, but I mean, they didn't do what they could have done to protect us from ending up inheriting some bags of garbage. And the other thing is, sometimes people would just literally toss garbage in front of the Goodwill. I cannot fathom the motivation, because the garbage was bagged up. It's almost like benevolent maliciousness. It's like they think that the Goodwill is a place that takes in garbage, sorts it, and then sells the stuff that has any value. I still don't understand. Why would you ever... There's dumpsters. If you're trying to commit some kind of weird garbage fraud, why would you give it to Goodwill? I'm not talking about you open it up and it's like, oh, this stuff is trash. I'm talking about you open it up and like, you know, potato chip wrappers and, you know, glass bottles fall out of it. Anyway. So that's, you know, if you have no other options, I'm sure you could do worse. I've never had to work at like a slaughterhouse or something like that. I don't know, that strikes me as possibly being worse. I did work as a mover for a day. That was also terrible, but that could be just because I'm a weakling. And I really don't fit in with the blue collar, you know, like wake up at 5 in the morning, drive truck, and crack jokes about ladies' buttholes sort of crowd. I'm not one of the boys, necessarily, is what I'm trying to say. And a lot of the, well, on the one day that I did the job, the people that I was grouped with were definitely some of the boys. Either way, I digress. Again, if you got no other options, you could probably do worse. I met some good people working there. But I was also like, I have to get out of here as fast as possible. And then I think they went out of business, which always, I was like, how? You're a charity. I guess maybe people stop shopping. I guess it makes, you know, it is a store. People stop buying stuff. I suppose I understand how it could happen. I'm just surprised. It's always weird when a place you worked for goes out of business, because you're like, I spent a couple thousand terrible hours there. And now the specter of my rage is disappearing. I just feel bad for my previous tormentors. Well, that's not really a good way to look at it. That's not a healthy way to think about it, in all likelihood. Yet that's how I know I'm the inverse of the roundtable crowd. I had great experiences with school, wasn't the biggest fan of many of the jobs that I held. I feel like Bear's the opposite. Bear didn't really enjoy school, all the time at least, but he loved a couple of the jobs that he had pre-YouTube. We're mirror images of one another, so we fit together. Yep, that's us. Nope, don't have that guy yet. You got something for me? Oh, good. Yeah, that's what I meant. Oh, super special rocks. But no, it lives yet. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, Mike Morelli, Dagwood's barber. He likes to make fun of Dagwood's hairstyle and can usually be seen with a nameplate M. Morelli displayed by his barber chair. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.